Oscar winner Halle Berry is the director and star of Bruised, now available to stream on Netflix. I'm Denton Davidson for Gold Derby. And Halle, this is your directorial debut, and it quickly shot to #1 in the US, #2 worldwide. What was that like to have such a strong audience response to this film that was such a labor of love for you?
It was amazing. I couldn't have hoped for a better result. We make movies for people. We want people to see them. That's why we create these things. So being on a platform that allowed my film to go around the world in like one moment was really, was, it allowed that to happen. So a lot of people got to see it, and that was incredible.
And it's about former MMA fighter Jackie Justice, and she's at a turning point in her life. Her 6-year-old son is recently reunited with her, and she's training to get back in the ring after sort of a humiliating exit years prior. What was it about this story that you wanted to tell so badly, both as a director and as an actress?
Well, first of all, I love the fight genre. I love these movies where the underdog has to fight their way back. People are searching for redemption. They're having second chances, last chances. I think that's very relatable. I always love these kinds of stories. I always can find a way to see myself reflected, so I thought to tell that story was really exciting to me. And as an actor, I just love playing dark, deep, complicated characters that are full of layers and flaws. And I love watching the human spirit triumph, and finding ways for characters to do that, which I also think is very relatable and gives me a chance to use, all of my own stuff, that's been accruing down there in my well. I get to exercise these things and have like cathartic experiences through the work. And that's always makes it more meaningful.
And the title is Bruised, and Jackie is physically bruised throughout much of the film. How many injuries did you sustain personally while filming this? Were there some rough days on set?
There were, like in training, I broke 2 toes, dislocated a finger, and then broke 2 ribs while we were second day of shooting.
Wow. How did that happen? Was it the fighting?
Yeah, it was the fighting. Yeah. In the training, I was just beginning. So, things broke left and right. But the 2 ribs I broke was day 2. And, Valentina is the current flyweight UFC champion. And, she got me good.
What was it like to have real MMA fighters working with you on this project?
It was key. I needed to have that authenticity. I needed them to help me make sure that I was doing everything in the proper way, that we were really being credible in everything that we were doing, from the way everything was set up to the way the fight really went and would go. I learned from a champion. It's one thing to learn with a stunt person but when you're really in there with someone who's doing it at the top of their game at such a high level, it really made all the difference for me. And my learning was accelerated as a result.
And how much training exactly did it take for you to put in? I mean, was this months, or, what type of training did you do, and how grueling was that?
I did in total probably 2.5 years.
Whoa.
The last year was very intense. The first year and a half, I knew I had time, so I was taking it slowly. But the last year was pretty much 6 days a week, 4-5 hours a day, constant training, always working on one of the martial arts, be it jujitsu, Muay Thai, judo, aikido, wrestling, boxing. There was always a discipline that I was working on, and I tried to do different ones each day of the week.
So you've had this film in mind for quite some time then on your radar.
Yeah. This film was given to me originally 4 years ago.
Wow. Okay. And what took you so long to direct your first film? Was it you waiting? Was it fighting with studios? How did that come about?
Well, it's because I really didn't know this is what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't really set out to direct this one. This is not how I ever imagined this would go. I wanted to be the actor to play this amazing character that I love so much within a sport that I actually, at the time when I got it, loved so much. I only ended up directing it because I couldn't really find someone that shared the vision that I shared, because I got to reimagine the story. It wasn't written for someone like me. It was written for a very young white Irish Catholic girl. So I had to reimagine it. And so I ended up directing it because I couldn't find anybody that saw saw it the way I saw it, or saw the world the way I saw the world. So
Now that Bruise has become such a huge success, you've entered this deal with Netflix to star in and produce a number of films. First of all, congratulations on that. And what excites you most about this partnership?
I think, when they bought Bruised from the Toronto Film Festival, they quickly became very good partners for me. They were very collaborative. They provided me resources that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise because we were a lower budget movie. And they believe in the artists and in the vision and taking chances and risks. And I'm loving that about working with them. And also the platform is huge. You know, more people can see what you actually do, and that's actually why we do what we do, to get it to the people, to provide this kind of entertainment. And I think right now, especially with what we've all learned from COVID and the way the world has changed, I think it's the best platform to be on, and I'm super excited about that.
And I'm curious, as a director, if you learned anything about yourself as an actress, or how you communicate with the actors on set, because you know firsthand what it's like to be an actor. So are you harder on them, or do you maybe have more respect for their choices because you know where they're coming from?
I had total respect for them, and I have always loved working with directors that are very collaborative with the actors and who have been collaborative with me, and saved space for me to have my opinion, to thoughtfully hear my opinion, understanding that I probably, by the time it's all said and done, will have spent more hours thinking about that singular character even than they have, even if they're the director, and so I approached my actors in the same way, very open, wanted to hear every single thing they had to say, consider every idea they had, and we got very connected and bonded that way. And at the end of the day, I think they went very far. They put it all out there, and they didn't judge the characters. They didn't care how they would be viewed. They just really wanted to bring these characters off the page.
And how about this cast that you're with? And even little Manny, I mean, he doesn't speak, but his looks are everything in this movie. I mean, he can speak with his eyes. And Sheila Adam and the whole cast, what was that casting process like for you, and deciding who you wanted to be on the screen with?
Well, I knew that, I've always believed that script is king and actors are queen. We have to get those two things right. So I was very, very, very particular in who these performers would be. And three of them are straight from the stage: Stephen McKinley, who played Pops, Sheila Ateem, and Adrian Lennox. They're like, stage actors that are, just incredibly talented. And Danny Boyd was just a find. I had to find a little kid that, like you said, could speak without speaking, which meant he had to be a good listener. You can't speak without speaking if you're not, 100% listening to everything that's being said. And Aiden and Shamir, it was finding people that I thought were absolutely right for these characters, the way I had envisioned them in my mind. And then I was free to let them make some choices on their own, because they were already exactly what I was wanting before they even opened their mouth, or what I saw in their audition. They were exactly what I was thinking. So we didn't have too much of a push and a pull.
Wow. And I just quickly also want to mention the soundtrack, which is fire. It's an all-female hip-hop heavy soundtrack. I've streamed it multiple times this week already. How great was it to see all of these women come together on the soundtrack, and what is it like choosing the musical themes that you want for this film?
I felt like I wanted it to be all female, because this whole story was very, female driven and through a female gaze. But I also felt like, for this world that I was creating, this inner city sort of dark world of this fight game and where these characters were living, that the music had to reflect their state of being. And it's very current. And this woman was currently, it's a current story. And I wanted it to be very current and very now, and really represent what Jackie would be really listening to. We would understand what her influences are. So having a current hip hop soundtrack just seemed like the only choice, especially being true to this neighborhood and this world that I was creating.
It's great. And if you're working out, it's a great listen for that as well. I have to take a walk down memory lane with you, because this upcoming Oscar ceremony will be the 20th anniversary of your historic Best Actress win. You became the first Black winner in this category in 2002. For me, it was really probably the most memorable Oscar win since I've been watching the Oscars. But for you, I mean, it looked like almost an out-of-body experience. What was that moment like for you? And now that you have distance from it, how does that history sink in with you today?
Well, first of all, it's my most memorable Oscar moment too. I have to say. But yeah, I did have an out of body experience, and it's hard to believe that it's been 20 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. So when I get asked about it, I go, But I've said this over and over, and I will continue to say it, that yes, it's heartbreaking that 20 years have gone by, and I guess we all thought that that moment meant that there would be, other people, women, Black women of color standing beside me, But I also thought that winning that from me personally meant the script truck was going to back up to my front door. And that didn't happen either. It didn't really change my life in that way. I had the respect of my peers and more people knew me, but it didn't really change the amount of work that I've had to do in 20 years to stay working in the business, to stay relevant. I've had to fight, even fighting to get Bruised done. It's because I wanted to play this character, because great roles don't often come to me. So, I've had to still fight really hard. So how I feel 20 years later, I would love for someone to stand next to me. But I keep telling all of my peers and other Black women that are doing stellar work year after year, I just keep saying to them, things have changed, because look how much you guys are working. When I started 30 years ago, or even 20 years ago, there weren't many people of color around me working like they're working today. So I know that that moment meant something, it changed something very concretely. Right. And
if
I also
not Academy Awards, the roles are popping up.
Yeah, they are. And we're having more opportunity. And I just say to them, if we win awards, great. Who doesn't love to win an award and love for their peers to say you did a great job? And we're all thankful if that happens. But if it doesn't happen, I tell them, just let's stay focused on the work and not focusing on the fact that you don't have an award, because we should never do the work to covet awards in the first place. That feels like the wrong reason to be inspired to do the work. The award should be the cherry on the top and the unexpected thing that happens, but it doesn't mean if you don't win it, you're not amazing, you're not talented. And if you do win it, it doesn't mean you're more amazing and more talented than anybody else either.
Right.
So I just try to keep it all in perspective and look at how the landscape has changed in 20 years. And I think as women of color, we are winning today, and we have more opportunities. And I see it with writing, directing, producing, starring, so things are changing.
And I know you attended the Academy Museum opening gala. What was that experience like for that to open? Was it fun to see people or walk through history in that way?
Yeah, and I remember feeling, well, it's about time. Like, we need a place that sort of, commemorates all that has happened in the film industry. It was a informative, beautiful walk down memory lane, and I took my children, and it's been wonderful to share what I love so much, the industry that has meant so much to me, to share it with them in this way, because everything is there. And it gave us a lot to talk about, and it was a real education for them.
And you're part of Oscar history. So, Halle Berry, thank you for sitting down with me and talking about Bruised and that historic Oscar moment. And congrats on your successful directorial debut, and best of luck with all of your future projects.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.